Starting and running a business is hard, but you don't have to do it alone. Whether you're an established business owner or thinking about starting a side hustle to earn extra income, I am here to teach you how to show up as your unfiltered self, level up your business, and thrive as a mompreneur. Let's embrace the chaos and start enjoying the journey together. I'm Amy Traw, and you're listening to the Motivated Mompreneur podcast. Welcome back into the Motivated Mompreneur podcast. Today, I cannot wait for the conversation we are going to have, because the woman I have on today is nothing short of just like the epitome of taking action, the epitome of being like, you know what? I'm not feeling fulfilled. Like, let's get out of my own way and make a choice to make a change. And her story just inspired me. And I think that is just too a power of showing how small of a world this is. Jenna is actually located like 2 hours away from me. I heard her as a guest on my mentor's podcast. I heard she was hosting this event in Columbus, and I'm like, oh my gosh, hearing her story, like, count me in. So since then, so much has happened. And Jenna, thank you so much for being here. Let's dive on into this conversation. How are you today?
Well, I'm doing so well. Thank you, first of all, for your kind words. You are such a light in this world and in my life. And I just feel very honored to be here and be able to just serve your community and have this conversation. So thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, I love this because it's all about collaborating and linking arms with one another. And that's truly where so much change happens in this world. So before we dive into all of the things, can you share more about yourself with our listeners, who you are, what you do, and who you serve?
Yeah, for sure. So I always just give like the Cliff Note version here, but currently I am Jenna Klopfenstein. I live in Columbus, Ohio. I am a growth coach for ambitious women who want more. I help them gain clarity and get into fast action around their big vision, their big dream. And it's really that action piece for me. As Amy said, I am an action taker. I really believe that is the best way, and in some ways the only way, to learn and grow and expand to the heights that you were put here on the earth to do. I'm a speaker. I'm a podcaster. I'm a dreamer at heart. You know, I'm a mama of two boys. I have a 2 and 6 year old, and I am married to my best friend. So I'm a very devoted, committed wife, and feel very blessed to be there. My backstory, though, the journey to this point looked a lot differently. I was born and raised Ohio girl, but I was raised by a single mom who really, instilled in me what it meant to be a strong, independent woman. Some of that's great. Some of that is not so much. It doesn't tend itself to you receiving. But I grew up very much of checking the boxes, like a lot of us, thinking life was linear, going for that next accomplishment and being very proud in the things that I achieved, whether that was I was valedictorian in high school. I got a full ride to play Division I college soccer. I went on to PA school and got my dream job as a PA. I coached soccer for 14 years, high school level, and then was blessed to get a collegiate job, and I coached collegiate soccer. And all of that to say, I got to a point in my early 30s where I was really living my dream life, and to a lot of people, the dream life. And I felt very blessed. I had a good life and I was happy. And it was very extrinsic, like, oh, I was happy. But there was like this internal knowing, this deep knowing that I had, that it just wasn't it for me. And there was more. And so just a little over a year ago, I really dove into what that meant for me. And the rest is history. My journey from starting the podcast to growing my business to now being a full-time entrepreneur to retiring my husband from a 14-year teaching career, and really just living in the present and building the life of our dream. And now helping other women see through that lens and that perspective on life that unfortunately isn't instilled in us.
It's not. It is not. And I love that you share your story, because mine is so similar. Because you're right. We go through life on autopilot, just checking boxes. And when we finally stop and realize there's something in my heart that I am meant for more, how did you go about leaning into that and not just being like, oh, okay, it's fine. Yes, my heart says this, but I've got the job, I've got the house, I've got the kids, I've got everything that I truly want and desire. How did you overcome that?
Yeah. It wasn't easy. It wasn't an automatic thing. And you said it. A lot of us will get caught on autopilot and get to our last days and we realize, we reflect back and it's like, oh my gosh, I live very much on default, not disciplined. I live very much on autopilot and like the traditional American dream projected on me. And I never really lived my dream. For me, it was like simple things that I had heard my whole life, that a lot of us have heard, that I finally allowed to really sink in. um, and it's things like the fragility of life is real.
Yeah.
Like you literally don't know if you'll wake up tomorrow or what the future holds. It was for me, and I know that you listened to some of the golden nuggets that I really gave from actions at Powerhouse, but it was like the biggest thing for me, I sat there and I realized, okay, Jenna, if you want your life to change, like you desire things, yes, life's good right now. Like, listen, it was good. I loved my job as a PA. I was a PA for 10 years, loved it. Honestly, a lot of my former college players became PAs because, like, I can't speak highly enough about the profession. But the reality is, there were elements of my life that I would never have in there. So, how I started to change was the foundation of everything is your mindset. And I really had to sink into like thinking differently. If I wanted to change, I had to think differently. And that meant about everything. That meant about money, because money mindset's real. That meant about security. That meant about the life that I was living, the choices that I was making daily. And I had to realize I had to change the way I think. I had to change what I was doing if I wanted my life to change. And so what I did was I allowed myself to go there. What does this look like? And I kept calling myself up, like putting myself in challenge, like challenging myself in uncomfortable ways. And I really started redefining what I was willing to risk. Like that prior version of me was very risk averse, and I realized that I was very traditional in the retirement, the healthcare that I went for, the lifestyle I was living. And I was like, to walk my kids to school, to have the coffee on the porch when I want to get out of the mid-morning or the morning hustle, to be able to travel when I want to, something's got to change. And for me, what I realized was that literally meant that I had to free up time and energy to create that life. And listen, if you're listening to this, it's scary. It is so scary. But one of the things I say all the time is like, no risk, no story. And when you get to the end of your days, like, what are you really going to wish that you had? It's going to be time. You don't want to ask, what if? You're really going to want to leave a legacy. You're going to want to know that you have an impact, that you felt alive in your days. And it was all these things, Amy, that were just like so deep in my soul that I was feeling that I couldn't go back. And so I knew that meant I had to dive deep into the inner work if I really wanted that to be my reality.
Yeah. And that is so scary. So, I mean, I think it's so important to highlight that it took a lot of courage, a lot of bravery for you to not just be a victim of your circumstances, to
Mm-hmm.
really give yourself permission that, you know what, I'm going to make a choice to make a change. Is it going to be easy?
Mm.
No. And I think so many people think that. They think, oh, entrepreneur life is easy. It's wonderful. I can just work on the beach and take vacations. No, it's a lot of hard work, especially in the beginning. This has been, I don't know if this is true for you, the biggest personal development journey I have
Yes.
ever been on. Because when I first made that choice, when I first gave myself permission, I was questioned a lot by people that were very, very close to me. And that was
Yeah.
hard. That was hard. Did that happen to you at all?
Yeah. For sure. For sure. And you know what I say on that? There's a couple of things that you said that really stuck out to me that I want to speak to. But as far as pushback from other people, it came from, yeah, people didn't get it. Listen, I was raised by a single mom. Security is a real thing. We lived paycheck to paycheck. We didn't have a lot of money. And she was very proud of the career path I had. I made six figures in my early 20s. Like, I had the security that we never had And so that was one of the hardest phone calls I had, like my mom telling her I'm leaving my job of being an orthopedic PA for 10 years. And people didn't get it. People still don't get it. Some of them, some people are just like, what do you do? How are you doing that? And here's what I really had to realize. It's not my responsibility to justify myself or to make them get it, but it is my responsibility to myself to live in alignment and to trust my deep knowing and to live in that. And so, yes, I got pushback. I continue to get pushback, but the reality is I also give them grace and love those people because they don't understand, because they've never looked out of the lens that I've looked out of, and they never experienced it. Now they've experienced it. They've seen that, oh my gosh, I have a thriving business. I'm making money. I'm making moves. I'm speaking on these big stages. They're like, oh, wow, you're doing it. This is real. Yeah. But you know what? They didn't know because they didn't know, and that's not their fault. And so that feels important to say. But two things that you said would give yourself permission. And here's what I did. I gave myself permission, full permission, to go all in for 1 year to create my new reality. And I do not let my bank accounts, money, my mind, projections of other people derail me, because I gave myself permission and I committed to 1 year, if I wanted a new reality, to go all in. And I've done it. And Amy, you've been a part of it. You've seen it. And it is something that has separated myself, and that I really encourage other women to do, is like, give yourself a year. And all in means all in. It means nothing derails you. It's like that North Star, like, don't let anybody waver you from getting there. And money's going to do that. Judgment's going to do that. Our mind is powerful. It's going to try to do that. But if you stay so committed and disciplined, you will get there, and you'll surprise yourself. So that's huge, of one thing. And then the other thing, entrepreneurship is hard, but so is being in a job that doesn't light you up and fulfill you. And here's where I say, choose your hard. I'd rather choose my hard, right? So I work really hard as an entrepreneur, but I'm choosing to do what lights me up. I'm choosing to do what I'm fulfilled doing. I'm choosing to live a life to work hard for, so I can walk my kids to school, pick my kids up from school, go travel, impact lives the way I want to, live a life of abundance, make more money than I ever would have made because somebody else had control over it. It's going to be hard regardless, but I'd rather choose my hard.
Yeah. And by choosing your hard, you're modeling that for your kids. And for me, that's a huge driving force to show my girls that it's okay. Just because you have a piece of paper hanging on the wall saying you're licensed to do one thing, it's okay to change your mind, because this life is so short. And you and I both come from a career in healthcare. We know how quickly life can change. But it's true. It is so, so true of how fragile this life is. But you have to be willing to bet on you. And I love how you said, you gave yourself 1 year, 1 year to go all in. And something else you said with that was discipline and commitment. Because here's the thing, when you're first starting out in business, it's like, okay, let's go. You're feeling amped. You're ready to take on the world. But life happens. Things happen, things come up. But when you're so committed to that outcome, when you're not afraid of the what ifs of what could happen. All right, so say in a year, this didn't go like you thought it would. You can always make money a different way. You can always go back to that career. But just having that regret of what could have been and not taking that chance, like, I think that would be so much harder to sit with than what if I did go all in? And that's where I was, last December, when I finally committed to being like, no, I'm done. I am leaving this career that I've spent the last 16 years in. It is scary. It is scary as hell, but I'm doing it. I'm betting on myself. I'm interrupting this episode to share an incredible networking opportunity that happens every single Monday at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. Join us for coffee talk and meet and collaborate with other mompreneurs just like you. Networking has grown my business by leaps and bounds, and I would love to share this opportunity with you. All the details can be found in our show notes. Now back to the show.
Yep, and it's the only bet that you have any control over. It's the
Right.
best investment that you'll make is in yourself because really at the end of the day, you only control you. And here's the thing about money. It's out there and
Yeah.
people want to spend it. And people need people to show up in their gift and in alignment to serve through their story and their experience. And we overcomplicate this and we devalue what we have to offer. And I talk with my clients about this all the time. It's like things come so natural to you that you forget that that is a way to just show up and serve. You are your authentic self, yet you try to be something else to go serve or to do something. And the reality is, the best way you serve is in alignment with yourself, being your authentic self, impacting through your story and your experiences. And you can do that today in any capacity you choose, and people will pay you to do it. But the important thing is, you have to be in alignment and you have to own your story and own your experiences and put yourself out there and bet on yourself and invest in yourself and stay so grounded in your knowing and be confident in what you have to give. And people feel your energy, and it's all about that energy.
Yeah, it truly is. And it's scary investing in yourself. I know when I first started investing in myself, it was scary because now I had skin in the game. It was like, okay, like wait a minute, like this is real. This is real life. And for me, a little bit of guilt kicked in. Like I actually had to work through a lot of feelings of guilt when I first stepped away from that career. That, you know what? This is no longer in alignment, like you said. It's no longer alignment with where I want to go in this one life that I have.
Yeah.
And giving myself that permission to just be like, no. But something you do so beautifully is empower women to really embrace that next level version of themselves.
Yeah.
Like really truly embracing that. Can you speak on that a little bit?
Yeah. So my brand has evolved to next level you. And it's really, we hear all the time, like, take your business to the next level, take your life to the next level. And it was something that, like, it just rings true to me and the work that I do. And it goes right along with the action piece. And the reality is, you are capable of so much more than you give yourself credit for. But also the reality is comfort for a reason. And it's where a lot of people will stay stuck. And so where I am so passionate and I feel it is my zone of genius is really unlocking that next level within you. And it's in there. It is in there and it is ready to come out, but it requires you to be different because every time you level up, every time you step into the next level you, the next level of Jenna, the next level of Amy, it requires you to break out of your comfort zone, challenge yourself in those uncomfortable ways, and call yourself up to be that better version of yourself. And it's scary. And so a lot of us won't do it. And so for me, if I can just give you that lovingly nudge and be a voice and a reflection back to you of, we sit and talk and you talk to me, and Amy, I reflect back to you what is inside you. And through that, we help unlock leveling up your life, leveling up your business, taking all of that to the next level. Then, you know, that's what I'm here to do. And it's very rewarding, but I should say, what's the word I'm looking for? Not rewarding. It's awe-inspiring to really see that happen with other women and my clients. And it's a gift that I have that I will say, when I say that there's that gift inside each of us, it's something that for a lot of years I downplayed. And now as I've seen it come to fruition and I've seen woman after woman unlocking that next level within inside them, I know I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, where I said to you before we hopped on this.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it is scary. It is scary when you're leaving behind the comfort. And it's our brain, it's our primal brain. It is science. Our brain is there to keep us safe. It will fight anything unknown. But when we can realize that and have that awareness of what's going on and be able to check that ego, which I believe it was Chris Harder that said, ego is our biggest overhead. We're afraid. We're afraid of judgment of others. And that's just ego getting in our way. But that's what I love that you do is you see the potential that's in every single one of us
Yeah.
and uncover it. And I think that's such a gift to be able to do that. And that is what every single woman needs to do, is discover and uncover that gift that's hiding inside, because that gift that you have, that gift is going to transform someone else's life. So it's really our duty to figure out what it is, so that we can really be the solution to the problem that somebody has. When you really shift the lens off of yourself and, okay, how can I uncover this gift to serve others?
Mhm.
Oh my gosh, like you said, it's just so, so fulfilling and rewarding. And it just gives us life so much purpose.
Yeah, and the ripple effect's real, and
Yeah,
I talk
oh, for
about it
sure.
often, but the ripple effect is real. The reality is, if I didn't leave my job, my husband wouldn't have left his job. My sister wouldn't have started her business. A lot of my clients wouldn't be living the life that they live now. And that's me. To me, whether you believe in God or the universe, God was like, is my gut feeling. And he was literally nudging me so hard that I could no longer push it down and justify staying in the good life that I had. And what you recognize is, if you aren't enough to keep yourself going or to commit to giving yourself full permission to go all in, if you're a mom, what about, look at your little people that their eyes are constantly on you, right? But regardless, even if you're not a mom, right? Like, you have people watching you. Do it for them, because if you don't show up in your purpose, if you don't live it out, you don't give them the chance to live out theirs. And I don't want that to feel like pressure. That's not pressure. To you, that should feel exciting. That should feel empowering. That should feel exhilarating, because it's saying, like, if I can step out and feel more fulfilled and lit up and live in my purpose, I give somebody else full permission, and I'm living proof for them to do the same. And like, oh, like, if you're listening, like, sit with that. But for us moms, it's like, to me, I want to break the generational cycles that were bestowed upon me, that I had ingrained so hard in my mind, and so did my husband. And I'll say that with a caveat of, like, we love our parents. They did the best. They did what they knew. But we can change that, so our kids don't look out of that lens, and our kids don't get caught living a life of check boxes, and actually from a young age ask themselves, in the present, what do I want? And they never stop dreaming, and they never stop allowing themselves to change their mind and pivot and feel into what they want and what's in alignment with them now. And for me, like, that gives me full body chills. That makes my hair stand up, because I know what the last year has already impacted my children.
Yeah. Yeah. And that right there, it's conversations like this, that breaking those generational beliefs, that will break the cycle, that will
Mm-hmm.
create a change. Together, we can change the narrative. We have the
Mm-hmm.
power to change the narrative for our kids' generation. Like that right there is so incredible. So,
Yes.
so incredible. Being able to give my kids permission to live a life that they love, not the life that someone else deems successful, not the life
Mm-hmm.
I want them to have, but to live the life that they love. Because this life is going by, it goes by so, so fast, and we take it for granted. We
Yeah.
truly take it for granted. But together, we can change the narrative. Oh,
Yeah.
Jenna, this was such a phenomenal conversation, full of so much wisdom and knowledge. And yes, borrow the belief. When you see what Jenna and I are doing, don't look at us. Don't put us up on these pedestals, because we are like you. We are no different than you. We don't have business degrees. What we did was we took action. We had the courage to be like, you know what? No, this isn't working for me. No, this isn't
Yeah.
how I want my kids to remember their childhood. Like, no, I want to be home with my family eating dinner. I want to be able to take my kids to school. I don't want to miss life anymore. So I'm making the choice to make the change.
Yeah. And, something that I'd love to say on that, Amy, is there is a false hierarchy in the world.
Yeah.
And people tend to think that I can't talk to her. I can't do that. She's different than me. That's her story, but not mine. And for a lot of years, I thought it was their story and not mine. And it can be your story, but you have to choose it to be your story. And also, don't put anybody ever on a pedestal. Don't ever look at somebody and think that they're not approachable and that you don't deserve the right to ask them or to start a conversation. It's on them how they receive it. It's on them if they do it. But for you, I just encourage you. It's been a huge part of my journey. I have not put anybody on a pedestal. I've not been afraid to just ask. I've not been afraid to slide into people's DMs or to send an email or to send a voice note. And we forget we're all human. We all have the same emotion. And at the core, all we control is our intention. How people perceive is up to them.
Oh, mic drop moment right there. Jenna, how do we get into your world? How can we learn more about you?
Yes. Well, I will say I would love to connect with you. I know people say that, but I really, really love connecting with each and every one of you. It lights up my heart and I love to just learn about you. And so I hang out on Instagram, like most of us, at jenna.klopfenstein. All my links are in my Instagram bio, but I have a website, jennaklopfenstein.com. I have my podcast, Next Level You. I would love for you guys to join over there. And I have tons of different ways to work with me. You know, I'm all about everything I do is really evergreen. And so when you're ready, I'm ready. And depending on where you're at in your journey, like I have an option for you. And I really love as the foundation of everything I do. I humanize you. I am a growth coach for a reason. It is very intentional. I'm not a life coach. I'm not a business mentor. I am both. You are all of that. And yeah, I really take it's an honor to do what I do and to serve who I serve. And I would just love to connect with anybody in your community.
Oh my gosh, so good. You guys, Jenna is the real deal. Get into her world, listen to her podcast. And if you're able to make it to Ohio on October 12th, Jenna is actually one of our keynote speakers. So if you want to hear even more and meet her in person, like her energy level is off the charts. And truly, events do change lives. Getting in the room, stretching outside of your comfort zone and getting around people that are right where you want to be. Get in the room, join us, talk to Jenna, talk to me, and your life will change. Bet on yourself, invest in you. That's what will get you from point A to where you want to be. Jenna, thank you so much. I'm eternally grateful that our paths have crossed. What started as a random DM in your DMs has turned into such an amazing opportunity. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And until next time, mamas, stop dreaming and start taking messy action. You've got this. Are you loving what you're hearing? Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode.